Hello YouTubers, in today's video we're going to be going over the process of how we transform this basic laundry room into a space that really makes you want to do laundry in. Now this is original paint, the flooring is original, and so it was a two-step process. The first thing we did was painted the walls and redid the flooring and painted, the baseboard and the doors, just gave it a more fresh look. But first we had to take out the washing machine and dryer, and this is what that looked like after we did that. So yeah, pretty much a hot mess. So after getting the walls painted and the floor installed, which was a challenge because the room actually has 5 sides, and so it's on a 45, which made cutting certain pieces like going around the door jamb very challenging, but nevertheless we got it done, and it actually turned out really nice. I mean, going from what it was before to what it is now on the screen was, good. We reinstalled the wash machine and dryer and, did our best to put things in baskets. But at the end of the day, it's just still your standard utility room. And so it was time to just take everything out and get rid of these wire shelves and really transform this room. Wire shelving really does a number on the walls when you remove it, so here I'm just using my hammer to bang the drywall back in to leave a depression, so when I go to mud and or tape, it's a lot easier to smooth out. Since we'll be using an 1.5 inch solid wood butcher block that's going to go across the top of the front loading washer and dryer, I needed to make sure that I had some type of center support bracket, and that bracket needs to be secured into solid wood. So I'm anticipating having to remove some drywall in order to put the wood in. But as I was doing my measurements and using my stud finders, a stud actually in the exact center of the room, so that was awesome. Also, I needed to make sure that I had studs behind the drywall to hold the cabinets, 15-inch wide cabinets by 42 inches long. And as I was again going through the process, there was wood behind the drywall at the exact places that I needed to be. So hey, like, I take my wins where I get them, so I was happy I didn't have to do a lot of drywall repair. Now I only have one shot to get this right when I cut the butcher block, and so I need to make sure that I go off the most square wall in the room, which happened to be the left wall. So I'm going to take all of my measurements from the left to the right. There was about 3/8 of a difference between the back and the front. The width of the butcher block would be 35 inches, and that was determined by looking up the manufacturer specifications for the wash machine and dryer. It gives us enough room to make the connections in the back, and then also gives us a nice reveal in the front. I'm cutting 4 inches off because it comes stock 39 inches wide, and again, the room is about 5 feet wide, so I'm making all those appropriate measurements and then making the cut. The bottom of the butcher block will be roughly around 40 inches. Again, that's from looking up the manufacturer specifications and determining the best height to install it. I'm using just regular cleats here, 3/4 inch thick, that's going to hold the sides, and then across the back again we have that bracket, but I'm also going to put 2x4s in between. So as you can see, the butcher block actually fits perfect. I was concerned that I would have to notch out the top of the butcher block in order to have access to the washer hookup box, but Again, this is just another thing that the room blessed me with that I didn't have to notch out, and we just have a total solid surface up there. So I was super excited about that yet again. I installed the cleats back about 10 inches off the front of the butcher block, so when you're standing in front, you don't necessarily see the cleats. Installing this peel and stick and getting it to actually line up is something that's currently outside of my abilities. But Sharon knocked it out the park. She only used what was actually needed, saving materials and only having to use one roll. We did do a couple of stain samples and figured out that this stain was the best for our use case. We only put one coat on, and after Sharon stained the entire board, then she put 2 coats of polyacrylic on it, which is a water-based type of sheen sealer, and it really did turn out amazing. Once again, Sharon knocked it out the park. Here you can see the final support system for the butcher block. I did add the 2x4s in between the center bracket and the side cleats. Got the washer machine and dryer in, and the clearances are dead on. We wanted a cool yet functional hanging rack, so I'm using this 1/2-inch black pipe with a floor flange, some nipples, 90-degree elbows, and a 30-inch piece to expand across the bottom of the shelf. Didn't want to use conventional brackets, so again, sticking with the industrial theme, used just 12-inch nipples and some caps. And here I'm just trying to figure out the height that I wanted at, making sure I have studs to secure the brackets in, making sure everything is level, and then going through the process of actually installing this shelf. I'm using 3-inch lag bolts to make sure that the flanges are securely fastened to the wall. And then I'm just making sure that everything is tight. That way there's no play in the pipe, so when I put the shelf on, everything will be nice and secure. To keep the shelf in place, I secured it with galvanized clips, and I just used regular drywall screws. Here I'm just tightening up the rest of the hanging bar, and I am going to use 1.25 inch lag bolts, 2 on either side, to make sure that when this goes up, it's nice and secure as well. As you can see throughout the video, I pre-drill a lot of things, and so that's what I'm doing here, making sure not to go through the top of the butcher block. And since I'm using lag bolts, then it's less of a risk of me splitting the wood. I am amazed at how changing out this basic utility light with this light here changed the dynamic of the room. I did have to make some modifications to the light. The laundry room didn't have an electrical box in the ceiling, so I needed to make sure that when I secured the bracket, it was secured to wood. Now, me thinking again, I'm gonna have to tear out some drywall, but it just so happened that there was wood up there that allowed me to screw both sides of that bracket into the ceiling. And yeah, the light install went smooth and I love the outcome. Installing the cabinets was a breeze as well. I already knew where the studs were at, so I just transferred those marks onto the back of the cabinets, pre-drilled, 2 inches down from the top and 2 inches up from the bottom. And I just used this cleat here so I can put the cabinet on top of the cleat, and then that way, when I go to install the cabinet, it really makes it a one-man job. The 2 shelves that we installed is also butcher block. And so I wanted to make sure that I used the appropriate lag screws for those just to hold that weight. Gives the illusion of floating shelves, but they're not. They're solid wood. And so I cut them to length and also ripped them to width. And it turned out pretty nice. I'm using these little 1-bys underneath it just so I can temporarily hold it in place, making sure that I'm level side to side and also from front to back. Then once I get the lags installed, then I'll just take the braces out. It is really shaping up good, and at this point I am just so excited. But there was just a couple of more things to do. Here I'm installing the pools, and that is the absolute last step in this outside of decorating, which we will see here shortly. Adding the wall cabinets was by far one of the best choices that we made. You know, it gives us an area where we can hide those bottles of bleach and laundry detergent and all those things that were previously on display. Speaking of laundry detergent, this GE Ultrafresh 850 series washer holds 50 ounces of laundry detergent. Now, we'll be doing a full review on the washing machine and dryer, so if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Also, if you want to be notified when I upload that video, then make sure you hit the bell. For those that have been following the channel, you all know that we've done the entire downstairs portion of the house, and the laundry room was the last frontier, and we no longer have to keep the door closed. I am just so excited about this space. It was totally worth it and well overdue. And plus, the fish love it.